Not mine. Not mine. Okay, most complex. So we're going to focus on looking at the soul. We're going to focus on skills, the dharma of the person, and we're going to look at love. So, the Navamsha is the one chart that has the ability, the power to change everything. If you look, if a planet's exalted in the Rashi, yet debilitated in the Navamsha, it loses all its power. Becomes Uchabanga.
If what then?
If a planet's exalted in your Rashi chart, yet Nietzsche in the Navamsha, it'll give bad results. If a planet is Nietzsche in the Rashi, yet exalted in the Navamsha, it'll still give good results. The Navamsha has the ability to change everything. Planets being strong in the Navamsha support you in life. So it's a very powerful chart. And I know astrologers who when they do readings, they calculate the chart and they open up the Navamsha and they do the whole reading from the Navamsha. They don't even play around with the Rashi. They don't care. Because the Navamsha is so powerful, they just read from the Navamsha.
So it's important you have it right.
Yeah.
Because that's what Sanjay changed in
Yeah.
the chart.
It's important to have it right. But the thing is, the planets stay in the same signs in general. It's the lugna that's changing. So at some levels, it doesn't change that much.
It changes the houses though.
If you looking at the level of skills, it'll change quickly. At the level of debilitated, exalted, that takes days to change. So no one's going to change a birth time in a few days. Or for some instances, Saturn, no one's going to change, like your birth time a few months. Very important. We have to recognize the importance of this Navamsha. And the most important thing, if we want to say in the Navamsha, is the Karakamsha. What's the Karakamsha? It's the Atmakaraka in the Navamsha. It has its own name. When we take the Atmakaraka, what's your Atmakaraka? Highest degree planet?
Highest degree planet in the Rashi.
And we look at it in the Navamsha. When we look at that in the Navamsha, it's called the Karakamsha. So Jupiter, look at Jupiter in your Navamsha. Find it there, circle it. Circle the whole house. That whole sign. That sign with that planet is the Karakamsha. When it ends with the word Amsha, it means the whole sign. It's the division. So is Jupiter the Karakamsha? What's the Karakamsha? What's your Karakamsha? What sign is it in? Huh? What sign then? Sag. So Sagittarius with Jupiter is your Karakamsha. Okay? Important to understand. That we, right?
It seems like for compatibility it would be more important for the Navamsha charts to match up than the Rashi charts. No?
They'll match no matter what.
Oh.
The Navamsha will match. You don't have to do the compatibility for the Navamsha level.
With another person?
You won't like them if the Navamshas don't match.
Oh, okay.
So at that level, we don't need to match. Now, whether you like somebody or
There
not,
won't be any attraction.
whether you like somebody or not, is just, it happens. Whether you're compatible with each other, then we look at the Rashi to see if you'll work well together. Right? So you don't need to do compatibility in the Navamsha. It's already attracting or propelling you away from a person. You won't like them if they don't fit your Navamsha.
Okay.
And we'll get to that in the third section here.
You might like them, but you can't stand them.
You can't deal with them, yeah. And that's the difference between the Rashi and the Navamsha with the relationship. Okay. So, the Karakamsha. What's the Atmakaraka show? What's that represent?
Our soul.
Us at the level of our individual soul.
Us at the level of our individual soul.
Mm-hmm. It's the Jivatma.
Ah.
Very important. It's the Jivatma, right? It's not the soul in the Paramatma level.
That's the sun. Well, right.
When we start reading houses from the Karakamsha, it will show the desires of the soul. What the soul wants in life. If Mars is in the 3rd house, what's that generally show?
Desire for power.
Somebody who's very harsh and really trying to get something, right? If the Mars is 3rd from the Karakamsha, it shows somebody who's at the level of their soul, that Atma in them is somebody hungry for power and to achieve. Okay? So we can read everything from the Karakamsha, but at the level of what that inner Atma believes and feels. Okay? And this becomes important in that sometimes that doesn't match with the Rashi chart. And for example, there was he calls himself a traveling mystic. And he was visiting this last weekend. I think he did a performance in the city. And from his Karakamsha, it shows that he's a monk. His soul desires to be a monk. From his Rashi chart, there's no monk. It shows somebody who enjoys, worldly pleasures. So he's, a very spiritual person, and he was having a suffering. At an inner level, he could feel he doesn't want to be with women, he just wants to be with God. But then all of a sudden he gets into a situation, he wants to be with women. And he was having quite the conflict. So to remove this conflict, we have to educate him. I didn't sit down and, we didn't have time to do a full reading, but I know his chart. So, in this situation, we have to discuss and we have to work out this physical reality, Atma, desire difference. And we have to come to some level, and this is where, your own spiritual practice influences the reading. Do you tell the person to follow the soul and become a celibate and suffer the worldly emotions and feelings? Or do you tell them to deny the soul and just, go with Maya that they live in? Or do we teach them the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita that say be unattached to your actions? And let those, and do everything as karma yoga. So, but this is counseling. But the bottom line is, from the Karakamsha, we see what the soul wants. Now,
Were you talking about the relationship of his Karakamsha in the Rashi chart from...
the Karakamsha is only in the Navamsha.
Right, okay.
The difference from the Karakamsha to the Rashi. When I say Rashi, I mean Rashi Lagna and Aruda Lagna.
Okay.
Because I never read the Rashi without reading both Lagna and Aruda Lagna.
Oh. So the Atmakarka in the Rashi...
Okay. We're not reading the soul's desire from the Atmakarka and the Rashi. We read the soul's desire from the Karakamsha.
Okay, and that's only in the D9, Navamsha.
Karakamsha means it's in the D9.
Okay.
Atmakarka means it's in the Rashi.
Okay.
So if I say Atmakarka, I'm talking Rashi chart. If I say Karakamsha, I don't have to say Rashi or Navamsha.
Okay.
It automatically means Navamsha.
So when you saw
Karakamsha
his,
is only something in the Navamsha.
so when you saw the discrepancy between what his soul wanted in the D9 and then what was actually happening, that was in the
Rashi chart.
Rashi chart.
Mhm.
And it showed his Atmakarka, what?
No, we didn't look at the Atmakarka.
What were you looking at?
When we're looking at the Atmakarka, we go to the Atmakarka is going to show different. is a different level in the Rashi. We analyze the Atmakarka primarily from the Navamsha.
So do we calculate longevity from the Navamsha too if we're using the Atmakaraka?
You can calculate longevity from everything.
Oh.
From the dashas with the Navtara, from the Ashtaka Varga of the signs, from the Navamsha, from the Atmakaraka, everything you can calculate longevity from.
So
There's so many longevity techniques.
So what were you looking at with the minstrel guy that
Mhm.
made you say he wasn't following, or he had a conflict?
Well, I already knew he had the conflict.
Oh, okay.
But, like, is the conflict because physically he's meant to be a monk, but yet his soul desires to be enjoying the world?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it the soul that wants to be a celibate monk, and his body and mind that want to enjoy the world?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, I had to find where the discrepancy was. Because, you know, my advice will change depending on the situation.
So you're looking at where his...
I mean, if his physical body, if he, you know, has this physical karma that he grew up in an ashram and the guru made him a monk and all his atma really wants to be married and in love, then the advice is a lot different than somebody who has a girlfriend but doesn't want to sleep with her because he wants to be a monk but doesn't want to, like, break up with his girlfriend, you know, so they're two different situations.
But if his soul chose this body, then isn't it the same? I mean, why would the soul choose a body which has those desires? And soul doesn't
That's
have
all
them?
karma.
Yeah.
With the alignment of the manas and the atma do not have to line up. When they line up, it's called Raja Yoga. We have what we can achieve. When your mind and your soul want the same thing, then you're going pretty fast down that road. If your mind wants to be a sannyas and your soul wants to be a sannyas, then what a sannyas you'll be. You won't even think about, you know, having a relationship, or maybe I want to give this up to have a family. It won't even cross your mind.
But at the beginning of life, didn't the soul choose this mind and the body?
Because of our karma, we are set up in a situation where sometimes the mind and soul agree, and sometimes there's meant to be a conflict. It's a karma. And it's good karma when they agree. And when they disagree, it's because of our own misdeeds. It's negative things that we've done that create, you know. And to me, one of the biggest things to create such a situation is, I was trying to think of the word the other day. You say one thing and you do something else. What is that? Like a preacher who goes... Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy will set you up for a life where the Atma and the Manas do not agree with each other. You know, the preacher goes and he says, don't, you know, be faithful to your wife, don't sleep around. And then he goes and he's sleeping with, you know, one of the choir girls. He's doomed, and his next life, his Atma and his Mana will not be on the same page, and he'll be suffering from that. So, but from the Karakamsha we see this. An important thing to see from Karakamsha, and we've gone over this once before, but we'll go over it again a little quicker this time. 12th house from the Karakamsha. Liberation. Jiva Muktamsha. It's called the Jivan Muktamsha. Where the Atmakarka and the Navamsha is called the Karakamsha. The 12th house from the Atmakarka is called the Jivan Muktamsha. The place where the soul gets liberated. Why?
Because that's where the person loses the desires that their soul, that the Atmakaraka represents.
Good. That's good enough. And, okay. Now, Parashara says if there's malefics there, what happens?
In the Navamsha?
You go to hell.
In the Jiva Muktamsha.
If there's malefics there,
Yeah.
Go to hell, I think.
I don't know. If you like, you
Who
will
does?
you go to hell.
Something like that.
That's her wording, but
I know, bad
he
line.
says you go to lower lokas
Oh.
of suffering because you put your energy, your soul is putting energy into malefic things. If there's benefics there, your Atma is putting energy into benefic things, and you go to higher lokas. If Ketu is there, it's symbolic. The person is getting closer to liberation.
What if there's
But
nothing
Ketu
there?
has to have benefic aspects.
Nothing is good.
With that, nothing is
Then
good.
the Lord. Then the
Oh,
Lord
the Lord.
sign.
The Lord of the sign.
Because you can have the Saturn Lord sign there too.
Oh, right. You don't
There's
want
always
that
something.
either.
Now the deity that's connected to that house,
The 12th house in Navamsha?
the 12th house from the Karakamsha, not from the Navamsha,
Oh,
Lord,
right.
from the Karakamsha, is called the Ishta Devata.
That's who you have to pray to.
And that deity helps us remove the desires of our soul and purify the desires of our soul.
The deity of the 12.
And so the simple rules that I'll go over quickly. A planet in that house will signify the deity. If there's 2 planets, take the higher degree.
But how
If-
do you get the higher degree from the Rasi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Degrees are only in the Rashi.
Okay.
Because it's the higher Charya Karaka.
Oh, I see.
Okay,
Yeah.
use
Got it.
higher
Um,
degrees.
If there's no planet, take the Lord of the Sign. Now, planets aspecting will show what leads you to the deity. So, for example, in mine, I have the sun aspecting. And I was a worshipper of Lord Ram with Babaji for many years, which led me to the Ishta,
You use Graha Drishti,
Rashi.
not Rashi. Oh, it's Rashi.
You
Wait,
can use it
you
both
have- you have
relative to the situation.
The sun is in the Jiva loop.
No, aspecting.
Okay, but
Aspects lead you to the
okay,
Ishta.
so there's no planets in the.
I have no planets there,
Okay.
but it's ruled by Mars. So my Ishta is Narasimha.
So you're looking at planets aspecting the Lord of that sign.
No, aspecting the sign.
Oh,
Lead you to that sign. They desire you to be there.
by Rashi Drishti.
Both, Rashi and Graha. And each one will show how it leads you. One that leads you there by situation, one that leads you there by desire. I have son having Rashi Drishti. I ended up meeting a yogi who took me to meet Baba Haridas, who is a Ram worshipper, a Ram Bhakta.
So what is?
And through that, through the bhakti and the teachings that he taught me, I learned Ayurveda. From that learning, I learned Jyotish. And from that learning, I learned about my Ishta. So the sun took me there. Okay.
Okay, so what is that Saturn in Libra doing?
For you,
Yeah.
is it aspecting?
It's 7th. It's Saturn and Ketu
From where?
from
Where from the Karakamsha?
Aries Karakamsha.
Yeah, but where is it placed from the Karakamsha?
Where is it placed? Saturn in Libra from Rahu and Aries. My Rahu is Atma.
As Atma. Okay. What's your?
Oh, I don't know. It's
So
just
I
like
guess he's asking how would Saturn lead him to the Ishtadeva?
yeah. How does Saturn lead me to the Ishtadeva?
Saturn shows Kali. And that's a Pasashtapadak, and your guru has Pasashtapadak in her chart. She's leading you to your Ishta. That would indicate that her Ishta is not yours.
Her Ishta is not my Ishta.
But her Ishta will lead you. So her practices will lead you to your Ishta.
He's saying the one that he
Okay?
Yeah.
But you know that was her. Did you get the right
So
time?
then my Ishta has more to do with that 12th house then. It's Jupiter. My Ishta is Jupiter.
Acha, very nice. Mahavishnu.
Okay, in your case,
Oh, it's fancy.
in your case, when did that happen in the Vimshotri Darshan? You said
We're not going to go too into timing because you see how big this thing is?
Right, that's
Yeah,
what
this
Rasi
is
does.
small.
That's for the 2-week-long Navamsha workshop.
but is it related to Vimshotri Darshan? No.
Yeah, you can see it in Vimshotri.
So from the sun.
But you'll also see it in Drig Dasha and Atmakaraka Kandrati Dasha as well, depending on different aspects.
In your case, it happened the sun time. So it did happen the sun.
Jiva.
It sure did.
Yeah.
Very beginning.
Beginning of sun.
Very
So
beginning.
there's no planets there. So you look at
Exactly.
Vizara. That's when you got in touch with Baba Sun Darshan.
Yeah,
And then when moon started, you was that time?
a little bit earlier because I,
12 from
move.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's focus. Ninth house from the Karakamsha. Vijnanamsha. The division of knowledge. Vijnanamsha. Did you know that one?
I never heard that.
Vijnanamsha. Each house from the Karakamsha has a name, according to Chandrakalanadi. Chandrakalanadi uses that a lot. And that shows the Dharma Devata. The same calculation, the planet connected to that will show. Remember we were talking about your Dharma Devata the other day? So the ninth house from the Karakamsha. The same rules that we use to calculate the Ishta are the rules that we calculate the Dharma Devata. What's the Dharma Devata do for us?
Keeps you on your dharmic path.
Yeah.
Which helps you follow your dharma.
What else? What else when would you prescribe the Dharma Devata for someone?
Oh, if you have a problem with your ninth house.
Okay, good. And what kind of what's the problem with the ninth house?
Well, that's your fortune. So if your fortune's screwed up, you want your ninth house is messed
What
up.
else?
You wanna,
What else?
dharma is relationships too.
Okay, what else?
The guru.
Problems with the guru. Problems with your father. Problems with going to temples. Problem with spirituality. Problem with having any respect for a tradition. So any ninth house problems that we have, I'm just trying to get you to break it down instead of just saying ninth house, which is great for an astrologer, but we have to learn to put it into what is it actually. Because I was actually just thinking the other day, people astrologers, they'll often say, because this one astrologer had said to somebody, "Oh, that's just your Saturn moon, da 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 da."
Nobody knows what that means.
What's that mean?
Yeah.
It means they're pessimistic thinking. Because of your pessimistic thinking, da 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 da. It's not because of the Saturn moon. We don't, maybe at one level it is, but we have to, what does that mean? So when there comes problems related to tradition, religion, spirituality, what we're learning from our gurus and fathers, that's when Dharma Devata becomes important. Problems in that area. Okay. Then,
Can I ask you a question?
yeah,
If there's nothing aspecting a house,
then don't worry about it.
okay, but does it,
Makes it a lot easier.
and there's no planets in the house, then do you look at the Lord?
Then use the Lord. Bottom line. Parashara teaches us this. He says 12th from Karakamsha, and he lists various deities, primarily Shiva pantheon deities.
For the Karakamsha.
Of the tradition, Sri Achyuta Parampara, we use Vishnu forms for the Ishta Devata.
Oh, for the Ishta?
Parashara directly uses Shiva forms. Sanjay teaches that these are forms that get us to the Ishta. From the Orisi Tantric tradition, you first start with Ganesh, then you move to Shakti, then you move to Shiva, then you move to Vishnu. It's the progression. And so Parashara gives us the Shiva form. But Shiva is what's opening the knowledge to understand the form of Vishnu. They're all energetic energies. And if we get too attached to the deity, then we don't understand Ishta. There's no reason to be attached to form. At the level of Ishta, we have to remove form. So, then, after Parashara, and this is all in Karakamsha Dhyaya of BPHS. And we went over, there's a whole class online just on this chapter. That's why we're buzzing through it. A lot of these questions we talked about then at that time too. Parashara lists about the Karakamsha, and then he says, see the same associations from the 6th house from Amatya Karaka. And that's the end of the sloka. Why? He doesn't tell us. The tradition teaches the 6th house from the Amatya Karaka. The Amatya Karaka, which is written in the charts as AMK, it's the second highest degree planet. Second highest degree. You know what's your AMK? Your Amatya Karaka. Second highest degree planet.
Maybe
Saturn. So you look at Saturn in the Navamsha. And then count 6 houses from that. That shows what's called the Pulana Devata. That sign is called the Preshyamsha. Preshyamsha. And it shows the Palana Devata. What's the Palana Devata do for us? Supports our families.
How do we find it?
Sixth house from the Amatya Karaka. And then the same rules. If a planet's there, use the planet. If there's two, use the higher degree one. If there's no planets, use the sign lord. Supports what? That's what I'm asking.
Sustains our material needs to survival.
Sustains us. It takes care of us. This deity takes the form of the Divine Mother.
That's in the Navamsha?
In the Navamsha. We're in the Navamsha right now. Yeah. This is the form of the mother that nourishes you, that takes care of you like a child, who makes sure that you're taken care of. So if we're not getting taken care of, this is who we pray to. This is the form of the mother that we want to take care of us.
And that's the sixth house
From the Amatya Karaka.
Oh.
So if it's Aries, then what does that?
One that
If it's
takes
Aries,
care
then
of
it
us?
shows Mars.
Okay.
Oh.
And then, last time I taught this class, it went to a big discussion on the lists. I said, just, it represents the mother, but use Vishnu forms. So use Narasimha, because that's sustaining energy of Vishnu. And then everybody argued, but it has to be a form of the mother. I said, well, if it's a form of the mother and it's going to take care of you, it has to be a sattvic form of the mother, which means it has to be Lakshmi. Did you listen to the same
I
list?
remembered this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't worship Kali for sustenance.
You can't worship Kali for sustenance. And they're like, okay, so then we'll worship Lakshmi. And I said, so what's the Mars form of Lakshmi? And it was a whole argument, all these males, well, it's this, it's this, it's this. No one could agree.
What is the Mars form of Lakshmi?
These are ones.
Durga?
Of course, there's the Ashtalakshmi, but there's no agreement on which one is which. At least at this moment in time. And I've been studying Lakshmi Tantra for a while, trying to get a sloka that's going to give me something concrete. But, there's nothing really concrete. So I advise worshipping a form of Vishnu.
Because Vishnu sustains.
Because Vishnu sustains. But in general, it represents a form of the mother. It's a motherly energy. But even a motherly energy we can worship, even a father can act like a mother for us. But we want a sustaining energy.
But you're looking at the sign. So you're looking at what the sign is? Or
A
you're
planet, if there's a planet there, if there's two planets, the higher degree one, if there's no planet, then we take the Lord of the sign.
Okay.
And that planet will show us what that form is. What's your form? What's the planet? What's the sign?
Mine would be Libra, but I have Mars there.
But you have Mars there, so Mars is indicating what form of the mother is taking care of you.
That's
So-
what we just went over.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it would be
Yeah.
it would be a form. It would be Narasimha because it would be.
Or there's,
Vishnu.
there's even a form of Narasimhi.
I know that. There's the female form of Narasimha. And actually there's another one.
And you could get away with using that. You could argue it and be good.
So I'm looking for a female son.
A female son? Now you see, some people are using Matangi, but Matangi is a destructive deity. Matangi relates to green Tara. But you want a supporting, nourishing form of green Tara. You don't want a destructive form of green Tara.
Right. That's all we have in the
Destructive ones?
No.
Nourishing ones.
Yeah. Helpful.
Helpful.
Savior.
Yeah. You want a saviorist form of green Tara. But you have Ugra Tara. You don't use Ugra Tara?
No, the 21 Taras, many of them are Rafa.
Well, yeah, that's true, but what do we usually use?
Lugratar's not so bad.
Ekajati's a form of Tara.
That's true. What do you usually use?
Okay, but bottom line, you want a nourishing form of Tara. Green Tara.
Chintamani.
There was this woman named Divine Amma. I don't know if you've ever heard of her from Singapore.
Nope.
And she worshipped Patangari.
Uh-huh.
Patangari, which is a form of Narasimha with 1,000 heads, and it's a female.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody wants those mantras, I have.
Oh.
Okay, let's keep going. We've got lots to cover here. So much. And then we look at the Brahtrakaraka in the Navamsha. Brahtrakaraka is the third highest degree planet. It'll show up as BK on your generally. It's called BK. Third highest degree planet. We look at that in the Navamsha and we look at the house of that. Anybody know the Amsha that's called? It's the Agnya Amsha.
Agnya Amsha.
Agnya is the third eye. It's the division of the third eye. Nice, huh? That division shows the inner guru. What is your inner guru like? Now, the relationship between the inner guru, the Brahmakarka and the Atmakarka in the Navamsha will show the relationship between you and the guru. Exterior. If it's 212, as we learned before, then the guru might not be in physical body.
Which two, sorry, the BK and the what?
Atmakarka and the Brahmakarka. If they're trines, then you have a great relationship with the guru.
I have 212 and I have good relationship with Babaji.
Babaji, you consider your primary guru?
So,
I mean, okay.
oh,
You don't have a guru that you
No,
would,
I
like
don't.
Ramana Maharshi or something
No.
of that nature?
Mine's
Which one is then the Atmakarka is the 12th one, right?
Right.
If the Brahmakarka was 12th, then most likely the guru doesn't have embodiment. When the Atmakarka is 12th, then the guru doesn't put as much time into the disciple as should be. Yeah.
so the Atmakarka from the Brahmakarka?
But there's probably a planet creating some bundle between the two,
Yeah,
between the two lords.
It's moon.
Yeah. So that moon is creating the, yeah. But those are Spava Sambandha rules. Which, yeah.
So how do you?
When we worship the Guru, now that Brahmakarka indicates the Guru Devata. Third highest degree planet in the Navamsha. It's the Guru Devata. And that Guru Devata represents that Brahmakarka shows the Guru Devata. When the Guru Devata is pleased, it manifests outside of us. It manifests one of its worshippers to become our Guru. So your Brahmakarka is what?
Saturn.
Saturn. So when Saturn's happy, it manifests a Guru outside of you who worships that energy, who can teach that energy, who can teach unattachment to be your Guru. When that Guru Devata is pleased. Okay. So this is one level that we can be looking, and we can keep going. There's multiple more deities in the Navamsha, but those are the important ones. Atmakarka, the Ishta Devata relates to the sun, the Palana Devata relates to the moon, and the Guru Devata relates to Jupiter. If those three deities are happy, your life will be in harmony. They're the three sattvic planets, the three most important sustaining deities in your life.
What was the third one?
Guru Devata, Jupiter.